I picked up this mirror from a gentleman yesterday, and it's turned out to be a bigger job than I anticipated. Once we actually turned it upside down and looked at the underneath of the hull, I was thinking there was just one side that needed work here, but turning it upside down and taking a good look quickly revealed that there's a lot of work that needs doing, and I'm not sure I'm up to the task, nor whether it's worth doing, because you can pick up a second-hand mirror for around about $500, sometimes with trolleys and all that sort of stuff. It's going to cost me, I've calculated it out and I'll go through the numbers in a moment, about $750 just to fix this one up. But I guess the other side of that is that then you've got one that you know has been very reliably restored, so you're a bit more comfortable to head out to sea with it, I guess. But as you can see, once I started sanding, there's a few patches at the back here where just the base part of the hull is a little bit questionable. I'll continue to sand those and see what I detect as to whether it needs a patch or something. You can see here the skeg is pretty wrecked. As I started to sand on this side, which was copying a lot of weather, the way it was stored, basically all the fiberglass tape just started to come off. And this is where the cost is in restoring something like this, right? The fiberglass and epoxy. So what I would probably do is fiberglass the whole hull, which is going to consume probably 7 meters of 1 meter wide cloth, and probably a little bit more than a litre of epoxy, I'm guessing, but I don't know. I've got a little bit in the shed, and a litre of that is $80 or so. So is this worth it? Let's find out what this side comes up like once I hit it with a power sander, and we'll just see how far I need to go in to get things clean. Okay, so this is the hull that was quite weathered. I didn't do the greatest job sanding it with that power sander. You can see a few kind of grooves maybe in the video, but I wanted to get this done quickly and assess it. Interestingly, there's some things like staples in here, what looks like brass staples used on some of the edges. Oh, that'd be the stitch and glue brass. Aha, okay. And nails are used to fix some of the pieces on the other side that I guess the plywood's been glued to. I guess that was standard approach at the time. And if I was to see a bit of pressure on that, and that causes that to move, I would imagine. So if I was to paint this or fiberglass it, that's probably a point where it's going to create a bubble or a weakness or something like that. So I guess the question, maybe I'm in two minds about taking to the tip and just paying the toll, or actually going through a enormous restoration work. Let me know your thoughts. Okay, this is an update on the mirror restoration. So I posted some pics to Facebook, and a few people chimed in to say, yeah, look, it's restorable, it's recoverable. So I've spent the last 2 days doing nothing but sanding and cutting out a replacement skeg, as you can see here. And yeah, look, you can get down to a decent layer of wood that can be strengthened up with fiberglass, so I've done that. I've also done a little bit of patching here with some fiberglass and filler just to make sure that when I do put fiberglass strips down, it's going to be a nice even surface with no bubbles. I'm still a little bit hesitant, as I've found out that the rub rail here is kind of rotten, so a substantial chunk on this side needs to be replaced. And if I get underneath, it doesn't have any inspection ports, so I kind of don't know what's inside there, and if it's rotten inside, I've just wasted 2 days worth of work. So we'll see once I actually get a chance to do that. And look, you can see underneath here there's been some patches. This is a whole nother job to get all this restored. One thing I'm kind of worried about is how to get some sandpaper up here and sand the centerboard case, which, if you see here, I removed the strips from, and the edges are kind of going to need a little bit of cleaning up and that sort of stuff, so somehow I've got to get sandpaper down in there. But the advice is strips along the joins. I've got about 3 meters of 1 meter wide fiberglass cloth, so I'll actually just cut that into strips rather than order the cloth strips, because I'll try and save some money and use what I've got here. Some of the other things, these rub rails are coming loose. You can see I've put an epoxy bead there, so I'm going to do the same to the one over there. You can see they sort of have some gaps, and do the same to the, I don't know what you'd call this on the front here. Look, it's a bit split, but what I might do is just put, yeah, see if I can fill that with epoxy rather than chip it off, as I'm not sure what's underneath. Oh, well, actually it is kind of loose, but to get in there and remove this thing, I've got to somehow get into the front tank, and I'm not sure how that all works. I was just going to put a bead around here, but let me have a think about that. So quite a bit of work to do to get it fixed up. Okay, just a small video update here. I have glued some sandpaper to this little piece of ply that I had. I don't know, 8mm ply or something like that. And that is hopefully going to be a solution which enables me to get down in here and sand off the rubbish from where I removed the tape. And probably a longer one of these is going to be necessary to get right down in and give some good sanding there. And then the challenge is going to be, well, how do I actually get a bit of epoxy down in there so I can coat the whole thing and make it waterproof. I guess a long, thin paintbrush will be the solution there. Okay, so as I would rather be sailing this boat than sanding and epoxying it at night, I want to get the hull done as quickly as possible, so I'm going to do the join around the transom here. First, I'm going to need to fill some gaps here in the ply, so that, you know, there's a good coat of, or rather some thickened epoxy in the gap there before I put the ply on over the top. Also, there's some rather weak spots, as you can see, like this in the base. This is why I was kind of in two minds about epoxying the whole thing. There's one here, there's some there that I kind of went over to fill some of the gaps or cracks in the ply. A bit here, a bit there, and a big area kind of down here over the rear flotation tank. Now this is very, very light fiberglass cloth, which I had some of. I'd used in the past on some foils and stuff for another boat. So I'm going to put this over there just to patch up some of those bits where I've got a couple of pieces of that. And at the same time, I'll then also, if I've got enough epoxy, finish the end of this bead here as it ran out, and I just needed a little bit more to do. And that will sort of strengthen up there underneath the side flotation tanks. Yeah, so let's get work epoxying. Okay, it's 9:47 and the transom. So as you can see, I cut off strips like this, 50mm wide from a large heavy-duty sheet to make some strips here to do the join in the transom. You can also see I put on this really nice thin layer here just to strengthen up the back, and another couple of spots here where there are some weak spots. I'd like to do others like these, but I was thinking this is kind of where your feet sit when you're further back in the boat. That's getting up near the centerboard, but even so I might put on, I can probably use something like these strips here just for those couple of nails there. We'll see how we go. For the odd little bit of strengthening, I also sealed all of the back here so it's nice and watertight. And the holes here I removed. Someone had obviously done it at some point in time, so you can see the pintles have been moved before. I can't remember which was the holes I filled, but I'll work it out and make sure it's centered so that they will be screwed on tight. Finished the last little bit of the strip here with some of the epoxy thickened with both wood flour and a little bit I had left over from filling the cracks at the back with the sanding compound. And the final thing I'll show here is the mess created by removal of this. It's got a few staples here which I'll have to try and maybe just file off, snip and file off or something, because that top one there is within the buoyancy tank. The bottom ones here I can probably push through the other side. But that's going to need a bit of fixing up, and I'll make a new one of these to fit on. So it's almost 10, time for bed, and I'll give you another update soon.